Hi everyone, it's Simon Keeling here at weatherweb.net on Tuesday the 10th of June. Thanks again for watching. Interesting developments taking place over the next few days. Let me just show the ECMWF and the GFS 7 to 10 day means of the 500 millibar height. So this is, oh goodness me, that is a mouthful, isn't it? But this is basically the average from next Tuesday through till Friday the 20th, and you can see how the GFS, which is on the right here, and this is the ECMWF, look how the GFS makes much more of the high pressure than the ECMWF. Now recently it's been the ECMWF that's come in on the accuracy stakes as much higher than the GFS has. The GFS tends to get hold of an idea such as high pressure and then kind of hammer it home, but the ECMWF seems as if it has a more realistic handle on things, and I have a suspicion this is the way things will go. My feeling is that probably we'll get much drier weather coming up over the next few days, not completely dry, particularly across eastern areas, but I do think that dry weather hangs around into next week, and then we've got to look towards the end of next week into the weekend. So that's the weekend, is that the weekend of the 20th? No, 21st and 22nd. We've got to look towards that weekend for the possibility of a thundery breakdown. So we've certainly got a bit of a dry window ahead of us over the coming days, but it's not completely dry by any means. MJO makes interesting reading. This is from the CFS, and what to notice is the coloured lines here are the forecast of the CFS. The black is where it's been over the last few runs of the model. So it's from here that we're interested in, and really what I'm interested in is where we go into phase 4, which is around about the 19th of June. So that's a week on Thursday. Now what's interesting is that if we look at phase 4 and what phase 4 normally brings, the pattern, this is the mean of that pattern. So what it tends to do, look, is build higher than normal heights out towards the west, lower than normal here off the western coast of Norway. So we get kind of that sort of pattern developing across the country. So what it tends to do is to bring in more of a north to northeasterly flow across eastern parts of the country. Now remember that the CFS was suggesting this was taking place around about the 19th, so towards the end of next week. And if we just take a look at the ECMWF through weatherweb.net, the dates on these charts, by the way, are here, and they go forward in 24-hour steps. Let's just go forward, see what's happening. Look, there's our area of high pressure building in through the course of the rest of this week and into the early part of next week. But look what happens then. You notice how the ECMWF, look, tries to get in more of a north to northwesterly flow through the country. So it's trying to get in that more cooler northwesterly flow. Now, if we look at the Canadian model, the Canadian was very similar, but watch how it makes far more of that cooler northwesterly plunge right at the end of the period. Here it comes, look. So this is going up to the end of next week. Look at that. There it is. You see it plunging southwards? It's that we need to watch out for the possibility occurring. Canadian actually hasn't been performing too badly. It's probably a little bit deep on this, and I think the low, instead of being here, is probably going to be out here with the high a little bit further east as well. But that's a pattern that we certainly have to watch out for. And when we look at the MJO, the phase 4, effectively, that's it. High pressure here, lower than normal heights here, northerly flow coming down here. So what happens after that? Where do we normally head after that, or what does it look like after that? This is heading now into phase 5. There's phase 5, look. So we get into phase 5 around about the 24th of June, according to the CFS. Of course, it could be completely changed, but it looks like trying to get into phase 5 around about the 24th of June. So then what it tries to do, look, is to break in the westerlies. It brings low to the west, low to the east, high to the north, high to the south, and it gets us into a thundery setup, because this starts to drag in more thundery, warmer air from the south. So this is why I'm thinking that we can't pin down the dates too much, but this is where I think we get this injection of cool air coming in, and then we get into this thundery breakdown next weekend, sort of the 20th through to, let's say, around about, I think it's going to be up to the 24th, 25th. And I think what then tends to happen is, and if we just look at the where are we? Which one do I want to show you? That one there, look. Getting into through phase 4 into phase 6, it's trying to hint at us get into phase 6 around about the 29th of the month. Now, phase 6 looks something like this usually. What it does is it deepens the low across Scandinavia, so it has a very deep trough here. It has a trough in the Atlantic, high to the south again, high to the north, look. And what we find is this ridge link between these two. So we do get more of a north to northwesterly flow through the UK, but what we also get here is a return flow coming northwards and a flow coming south like so. So what it does is it tends to indicate that this high will try to build in again. Now, I think we need to watch the period from the 29th of June through till around the 8th or the 10th of July for some fine weather returning again. I think this is the way this is shaping up, that we go through the dry period, we get into the thunderstorms next weekend, and it stays unsettled perhaps for a week, but then we settle down again right at the end of the month and into the early part of July. Lots going on at the moment, so I'm going to leave you with that for now, and I hope to kind of get into the detail a little bit more over the coming days. But for now, thanks for watching weatherweb.net. Don't forget, we kept free of charge because you keep coming back and using the site and telling your friends about us. It means we can get more adverts in front of you. That's what generates the revenue that keeps us free of charge. So thank you for doing that. Whatever you're doing, have a great day and keep the sun shining. Bye for now.